Hello. Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
Thanks for doing this. I'm Marcus. I'm the guy that you were texting earlier and I'm just building beats. So, hanging
Cool.
out. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm all right. Just been busy. Our summer classes are finally ending this week, so I've just been nonstop on Zoom the whole time. But
Yeah.
cool.
Well,
Um,
my audio should be ready to go, but let's just double check that you can hear it in high quality.
yeah,
Coming through?
yeah, I can hear it. I can only hear it on one headphone though. It's not.
Well, this might be an issue. Let's. I always do it like this, where I don't know if you know this plugin, um, Audio Movers, but basically it's a plugin that allows you to stream high quality audio.
Okay. Um,
Usually do is I give out a link in the Zoom that they can listen to in their browser, and it has the high quality audio.
oh, okay. So they can. Okay, cool. That works.
All right,
Um,
so let me just make sure that um, working.
cool.
So yeah, if you click on that link,
Okay, I'm connected.
okay, so
Cool,
getting it.
that works.
Awesome.
Um, were you gonna screen share at all? I think you are you on Ableton right now or
Yeah, let me do that. So yeah, just make sure you're getting stereo.
wow, cool.
Is there any feedback from my mic happening?
No, there isn't. I don't hear any. I just hear it on my left ear. I don't hear it in the full mix.
Okay, and you're only hearing my mic on the left ear?
Yeah.
Okay, let me fix that.
I'm gonna tell some of our students too to just remind them. We've got a good amount of RCPs for today too, so it should be cool.
Nice. Um,
Oh, there we go.
now it should be coming through one ear. I mean it through both.
Yeah, perfect. I can hear you now, both.
Cool.
Um,
Are you getting feedback from my mic?
no, I'm not.
Okay, good. Perfect. Cool. Then that should be all good to go.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, this is super nice and seamless because
Mhm.
we've had some issues with past guests doing routing direct audio, and it's like they couldn't ever get Ableton to work directly into the Zoom. Like some of our workshop leaders have been doing it fine because we've done a lot of like little Ableton work sessions and workshops, but some of our guests haven't. So this is like probably the most flawless, nicest like setup ever. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I I've always had issues getting good audio quality out of Zoom. It's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's weird. Uh, but this one works every time, and I use this plugin a lot.
Cool. Yeah, this is dope. Cool. Thank you. Um, yeah, so I think we'll start. I don't. Did Jody send you kind of the rough outline of how everything will be for today, just for like the hour we're together?
There's a link in here somewhere. Um, yeah.
Cool. So we'll do a little bit of banter, let people check in, and then I'll hand it over to you, and you can hop in to it, and then we'll kind of regroup at 4:45, 4:50, depending on how long. Time really isn't an issue. We usually go over, but I mean, it's up to you. So.
Yep. Sounds good.
Um, Cool. Did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to ask before, or anything you wasn't clear, anything like that?
No, I think everything's pretty clear. I've done these type of things before, kind of just not with groups in Zoom, just groups in Discord or um, Twitch. So yeah, should be pretty straightforward.
Cool. All right. Dope. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited everything worked out and whatnot.
Sweet.
Um, I'm gonna probably log on to Zoom at 5. So
Actually, I do have a question. I mean,
yeah.
are the people watching mainly gonna be like people that have never produced before, or is it?
Oh, okay. So the background, I can speak on our students, like our BB leaders, and I would say the majority of them have made beats. They've worked in different DAWs, like FL Studio, Ableton, Logic. Uh, so and they're like, I think they're young, so between the ages of like the youngest would be like maybe 14, 15 years old, and the oldest will maybe be 20. So between the ages of like that to like up to 24. And it's kind of a range. So you can go as complex as you want or as basic as you want to. But I would say our students usually are kind of open and they'll ask questions, and maybe some of them are really advanced too. I think one of our students just did they did a mastering workshop, mixing and mastering workshop, and he's like only a sophomore in high school. Just kind of showing like the really basics of it. He went into some things. We've had other workshops too where it's like some like audio engineering professor, I think, or the brother of one of our workshop leaders did one, and it was like a lot more complex. So I think if students ask you questions, they might ask you questions like, what did you do with that? Or but I think you're free to kind of just go as you please, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, I was just wondering what the like base level of understanding that I need to impart would be. Like,
Yeah, no worries. And we're probably gonna we're recording it right now, obviously. And so eventually, I think one of our content team might like edit it down, and we'll make a blog out of it and share it out. So there'll be more people that will come back and watch it, like on Ableton or like some more advanced stuff. So it's just something that we can share.
okay, sounds
Cool.
good.
Yeah. Cool. Um, Let me just check. How's how's LA so far? Are you there full time in LA or?
Mm, yeah, I mean, I haven't left my house much in the last 2 weeks, but yeah, it's very hot right now.
Yeah. I'm from Southern California, so I grew up like in and around the area. I'm from Ventura.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I know it's hot right now over there, but
Yeah,
especially in the fires up north and stuff. I think all over actually.
yeah, but it's like unseasonably humid as well. It's like the air's ridiculously thick.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. The
Right.
humidity. It's pretty humid in New York right now. So
Yeah. Yeah, New York's always really muggy and gross in the summer.
yeah. I I keep my AC on during the day for my classes, so I'm not like dying while I'm in like a Zoom. But
Yeah.
usually chill a bit later. Um,
Hmm.
it's supposed to be really hot tomorrow. It's supposed to be like 93.
Yeah.
So, oof, cool. Was Jody gonna join too? Your manager?
I'm not sure if she's joining or not.
Okay.
I'll
All good.
ask.
And your new album, it's dropping in October, right?
Yeah.
Illusion of Depth.
Illusion of Depth. Yeah.
Cool. We can talk a little bit about that. I guess the like I sent you some of the just generic like super basic questions,
Hmm.
more about like your background in the beginning, like how you got into music, like that kind of thing. Um, and then like we'll hand it over to you, and then you can do the demo. And then at the end, I guess just take any other questions. Um, we can plug the album too, or anything else you have until between now and October. Yeah, should that'll be it, I guess. So.
Yeah. I've been working on Minecraft events. That might be good for this age demographic.
Oh, cool. Yeah, a lot of our students are they use Minecraft. Um, I know there's like a lot of like Minecraft raves and stuff like that too. So
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
when's your next one?
Next one's September. What was it? 19th of September. 19th to the 20th.
Oh, okay, that weekend. All right. Yeah, we can definitely plug that.
Nice.
And let my students know, let our students know.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you're streaming on Twitch too every now and then, or you said that?
Sorry, say.
Cool. All right. Just gonna set up the Twitch stream.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Do your thing. Cool. Hey, hey. Um, cool. I'm gonna log on to Twitch now.
Alright.
Now I just gotta wait for some people to show up. So we'll be live in a second. Cool. Cool. We're live on Twitch. Hello, Twitch people. Twitch world. Hello, hello. Welcome. Hello. Hey, Bianca.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. Cool. Those of you that are in the chat, or feel free to drop where you're from or what city you're in while we wait for some people to show up. Cool. The Bronx. Nice. Hello, hello. Welcome. feel free to put in the chat where you're, what city you're tuned in from.
What's the Twitch channel so I can?
Oh, it's Oakland. Nice. New Jersey. Cool. Thank you for joining, everybody. We'll get started in a bit. We just gotta wait for some of our other constituents to show up.
Yeah, what's the Twitch link?
It's just or building beats. It's so twitch.tv/building beats.
Got it.
Cool. Thank you. Hey, Uche.
Hey, what's up?
Nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
Cool. Cool. Those of you joining us, we're also on Twitch too right now. So definitely let your peoples know if they're not on Zoom. Cool. Where's everybody from? Yep. We got, I think, someone from Oakland, someone from New Jersey. Oh, Vancouver. Nice. Cool. Welcome. Must be cool in Vancouver right now. I bet. Yeah. It's really hot and muggy in New York City, hot and muggy in LA where Matt is.
Yeah.
Kind of hot all over the place. Twitch, yeah, it usually records for about like 2 weeks, but we'll post a actual edited nice video of this eventually later. I think in September, once our content team kind of gets back together. So, so you can watch it again and again. Uche, are you in school right now? Are you finishing summer classes or?
I'm on break, but like I'm doing like my summer work, so we start actually next week. So
cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a junior
we,
or a senior?
No, senior. Senior,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Senior year, then you'll get senioritis.
Yeah, I don't know how senior year is gonna look this year though, because
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everything's different, but
yeah, I hope to God we have a prom. I hope to God, please. Like, I have my whole like outfit in my closet.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm ready. I was ready.
All right. I mean, that's still a ways away. Usually prom is like in May, I think. Usually.
Yeah.
So you have a couple of months of planning, or several months. I mean, and maybe by then it might be outside. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Insane prom.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah. I mean, we're still waiting on school, so I know I'm trying to remember what prom was like in middle school. So long ago.
Yeah. I just hope.
Uche, have you made any beats lately?
Yeah, I've made some beats, but I was just like, playing around. But I made some beats, but I've been really making songs.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's been good.
I don't know if Jess told you, but the class we had this past June, I would say, was it late May? We made a playlist of all the music, so it's online. So I think we'll send it to you actually at some point.
Okay.
Welcome. We'll get started in a bit, everybody. Thank you for joining. Those of you tuned in on Twitch, we got the one and only Matan Zohar doing a little drum synthesis. He'll be making some drum sounds from scratch. Matt, we have to share that link, the audio mover link to everybody in the chat?
Not, yeah, just to the people on Zoom. If you're streaming your computer audio from your browser, it should work.
Okay, cool. So
test.
there's a link I just copied and pasted, everybody. So if you want to connect to Matt's direct audio from his connection, and you'll be able to listen to the music through the browser. So
I use this plugin here to stream audio.
Yeah, I want to get that plugin now. Cool.
Yeah, shit, it's really good.
Just learn something new. Cool. We'll give it a couple more minutes, or like 3 more minutes maybe, and then I'll just chat real quick.
That's not just me, right?
Whoa, what is that? Was that you? Wow, that was sound like an alien.
Who was that? Who was that?
No idea.
Cool. All right. Wake up everybody on Twitch right now. Cool. And then I'll just start in 2 minutes. If you haven't already said where you're tuned in from, or what city you're locked in from, what city you're living in, repping, feel free to drop it in the chat. And feel free to let us know where you heard about this workshop today. Building beats, if you've been here before, or if you're brand new, let us know. I know a couple of our students are here. Cool. Oh, dope. Instagram. Cool. Yeah, this is our last workshop for the month. We're gonna have a few more in September. We try to do at least a few of these a month. Just this last couple of weeks have been pretty crazy with our scheduling. We've had quite the busiest summer we've ever had in building beats. So cool. So let's just get started. We have some time. So welcome everybody. I'm Marcus. I'm from Building Beats. I'm a workshop leader and I help handle community partnerships. I've been with Building Beats for a couple of years now. And this is a bbConnect. So we host a lot of free workshops, special ones with like amazing people like Matt, and a lot of Q&As and demos and things like that. So thank you for those that are joined. And today we're going to be doing a demo of drum synthesis with Matan Zohar. How are you doing, Matt?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Cool. So usually I like to ask a couple questions. So I know you've been quite the producer for a while, and I just wanted to ask how you got into music real quick and how you got to where you are.
Well, I started playing in bands when I was in high school, around age like 11, 12, and then slowly got into just making my own music. I had an early version of Fruity Loops, which I started on, and then eventually moved on to Ableton, and yeah, just kept doing it for, I think, 18 years now. Until
wow, okay.
So, yeah.
So, and you have a new album coming out in October that we can talk about a bit later. In terms of what we'll be doing today, can you give us some insight as to what you'll be showing us in Ableton?
Yeah, so basically showing you how to make your own drums from scratch, just using oscillators and white noise and various techniques to, yeah,
cool.
Be able to make your own drums from scratch, and also be able to apply those techniques when you're using samples and layering samples to get your drum sound. It's all very useful knowledge to have.
Cool, I'm excited. If anybody has any questions before we get started, and then I'll hand things over to Matt. I mean, he's already set up, but anybody have anything you want to ask real quick? All right. Well then, Matt, you want to dive into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Do it. Cool. Thank you. Feel free to drop questions in the chat, and I can ask while we go along. So.
Right. Well, first I might as well talk about like why making your own drums is a good thing to do. Every track you make is gonna have a different sort of sonic landscape, and being able to make your own drums just gives you the freedom to play around with different sounds and not be limited by what you have in your sample library. And another reason is you can make your own sample packs, which is another great way to make money as a producer. So yeah, it's just a great skill to have in general. I guess we'll start with like making kick drums. For this, I'll be using this plugin right here. And you'll see this reoccurring theme when I'm making drums is I'll be splitting it between like a few different instances of the plugin to divide it up in terms of like transient and tail and all the different like frequencies that I'll be layering and like different harmonics and stuff. So yeah, I'll always be using multiple layers. So for the kick drum, let me know if you can all hear that okay. I'm just going to be making a simple kick. So I'm going to be starting with the transient, which means the very start of the sound. So the first like snap. And then I'm going to be adding the tail to the kick drum afterwards. So let's just create a little pattern here. So now let's play around with the pitch envelope. So this controls like the frequency of this kick sound and the curve at which it like drops down. And I could use a different click noise here. I don't have to use kick 2 for this. It just creates a nice transient really quickly. And I'll show you how to make kick sounds without using this plugin as well. So this is just like a simple basic thing I would do if I was making like a house track or trance tune, something like that. And this synth is called Phase Plant. It's super useful because you can have as many oscillators and sound sources as you want and do a bunch of things to them. So highly recommend getting it. So now I'm just adding like the sub of the kick in afterwards. And I'm doing this on a separate instance because then I can control the volume a lot easier of it and also have them sort of reinforce each other. You'll hear when I play around with the pitch of this kick or the sub of this kick, it will change the character of the kick drum itself. So I'm adding a LFO, which I'm going to be using as an envelope. Just to create a little pitch drop like that. Set the frequency to around like 40 hertz. It can be nice and subby and boomy because it's if I'm making like a house style kick, then I want the kick to be really boomy and supportive of the whole track, if that makes any sense. Okay, so set this to unit. So you can hear that the sub is starting to reinforce the kick drum. And you hear when I move this pitch envelope around, it changes the frequency response and the overall feel of the kick drum. So it's good to have things on 2 different layers to be able to have more control over this kind of thing. And also changing the phase of this oscillator will change the relationship between the transient and the tail. But if you ever have a kick drum and you're wondering why it's not punching out enough, maybe just like adding a sub tail even to a sample to reinforce it underneath really helps make it stick out in the track. So that's just like a simple version of making your own drums. Let's do something a bit more complicated. Let's try making actually I'm not going to delete this. Yeah, let's try making a snare now. So a snare requires a few more layers and a few more techniques. And we're just going to be using phase plant. So I'm going to start just with the transient. And you'll see the transient is just super simple. Yeah. It doesn't need to be something super complicated. Just adding a little pitch envelope. Setting the frequency to about 200 hertz. There. So when we're layering drums, we're not only thinking about frequency, but also envelope. And that means like the time it takes for the sound to kick in. So you can have a short, snappy sound and a sound that takes a long time to fade in, and layer those together so they don't clash with each other. And that's a principle you'll see me use a lot. So let's just create a note here. Now I'm just going to slowly build up the tail of this sound. I'll add a little bit of white noise. With a bit of attack, because I don't want it to clash with the transient. You see it's already sounding a little bit snare-like. And depending on the type of track you're making, you may want to make it a long snare sound or a short one. And yeah, again, this gives you a lot more control over that. So there's our first layer. Now let's think about what else makes a snare drum. You have the initial hit, which is your transient, and then your tail of the snares rattling. But what else is there? There's overtones that you hear, which are sort of toned harmonics that ring when you hit the snare drum. So we can try and sort of mimic that a bit. Add a bit of attack. Add a little pitch envelope. Because when you hit something, it goes up in pitch first, because it takes a while for the membrane or whatever you're hitting to reach its fundamental. Yeah, and let me know if anything I'm saying doesn't make any sense. I'll try and explain it better. But I'm going to add another oscillator to modulate the frequency of this oscillator, so it's sort of in a weird atonal key. If I solo it, you'll hear what I mean. Without the frequency modulation, it sounds like this. So I'm just imposing two waveforms against each other to get a weird harmonic. Add a filter. So you see it's sort of building up to a semi-convincing snare sound. Mess around with this. Tune your drum. Oh yeah, another thing to note is that when you hit a drum and you look at the waveform when you record it, you'll see it sort of stop. The fundamental starts a little bit off phase. It like starts at the top of the waveform, like that, which gives it a bit of a click. So before it sounded like this. So that makes it a little bit more snappy. All right, let's add a bit more harmonic to the snare. And for this, I'm going to use an oscillator, but have it modulated with white noise. So it has a tone to it, but it's white noise, but it has a tone that I can control. Yeah. So it sounds like that. I can add more delay and more attack as I keep adding layers, so all the sounds sort of fade into one another. And by themselves, they'll sound like crap, but you know, altogether it makes the complete sound. So now I'm just adding more layers to the tail. Adding some more white noise, maybe making it stereo so it sort of simulates a room, some ambience. And I'm filtering out the low end so it doesn't clash with the fundamental of the sound. There. And you know, you can play around with this more and add more layers, but yeah, you can take this principle and then apply it to layering samples. So let's say we want to get a transient. So let's find a snare sample to use for that. I use a snare that I created before. Okay, so let's just use this. So I'm just using the very start of that sound. And then when I layer on top of it, and another, yeah, something like that. I'll add the fade to the layer, so all you hear is the tail. And there, I just created a new snare from 2 snares. And then you can add more and more layers. Maybe even move it over. And your transient is intact, and you can just play with the tail. So yeah, you can apply that same principle.
Cool. Matt, there's a couple questions actually. So, in terms of like learning how to do this, do you have any books you could recommend or any like resources on like drum synthesis? Because I know another person was asking like how you learned how to, you know, create or drums this way.
Yeah, I watched tutorials. There weren't any books about this available. There should be, but no, I just sort of figured most of the stuff out on my own, and also from watching other people's tutorials. But yeah, after doing it for a while, it sort of becomes intuitive. So
cool.
I think just doing it is the best way to learn.
And what were the 3 layers? You said transient, noise, and blank?
Well, I think about it in terms of like the transient and then the tail layers. So usually I'll have one transient layer that just covers the fundamental, and then all the tail layers can be whatever they want, because and you can process the tail layers a lot more than the transient and not mess up the sound too much, which is another good reason to separate it out. Like say if I want to mess up the tail of this kick a bit, because it's on the tail layer. Say I want to make it a little bit noisy, like this. You know, it gives you a lot more freedom.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, this is amazing. I've just learned the way you combine the 2 snares was really interesting, getting a whole 2 snare sound. Does anybody have any other questions? I know Layla had a question about, I guess she, like in terms of sounds, like is there any particular sound you're going for? And I know she was asking about the melodies. what was the question? Like a music question related to like creating like a rhythm or a melody for your song. I know this is about drums, but when you're like approaching it, do you start with like your drums first, or how would you, when you're creating your songs, or just sketches or whatever?
It depends on what's the most important thing in the track, I think. If I already have the idea there, if I don't already have an idea, it doesn't really matter what I start with. It's just whatever comes first. Um, but if I already know what I'm doing, then yeah, I'll start with the most important elements first. Whatever I want to be the main focus of the track.
Cool. Definitely, yeah. Did you have other sounds that you wanted to like? I know that you did the drum, like a kick and a snare, maybe. There's
Now,
other.
yeah, let's say you want to make a clap sound. It's a little bit different. So instead of starting with like a clean sine wave for a fundamental, I'm going to use an oscillator modulated with white noise to sort of dirty it up and get a nice transient out of this. Sorry. Maybe take out some low end. Okay, so that's just the transient. And really, I mean, you could interchange these. You could get rid of this transient and replace it with this, and it should still kind of work. So let's see if that. So yeah, this method means that you can just like replace the transient with something else, and most of the time it works. So let's create a different tail for this. Let's just add some white noise. Filter. So maybe that's more like a side stick snare sound. Oh, is my Ableton crashing? And you can use any synth for this. I'm just using Faceplant because it's super easy. In fact, let's use a different synth for one of the layers. Let's use a stock synth. Change this to white noise. And then do the same thing here, just adding a attack. There you have it. And yeah, you can add, you know, different overtones if you want, or yeah, just keep layering small amounts of different white noise. There's many things that you could do. Which should I show you next? Let's try and do like a more like house type clap. a little bit more rough around the edges. So again, I'm gonna start with a bit of white noise modulating an oscillator. So there's no attack on this. And sometimes a thing that I like to do is like create a bunch of random clap sounds. So let's see. This synth has its own inbuilt random number generator, which is super useful. So every time I click a note, it'll change frequency. Which is more like in real life, because when you're clapping, you don't hit your hand the exact same way every time. And then you could layer a bunch of these together. And I'll have them playing at random times. So I'm gonna add a little Max for Live patch I made, which just basically adds a random offset to the sound. Actually, I didn't make this one. But yeah, it does what we need it to do. Let's just copy this over. Copy this. You can pan these differently. And then you can add a tail to this whole sound. Yeah. So there's endless possibilities with this is when you separate things out into different layers according to time, you can, replace one layer with another and things will still work and you have a lot more control. I'm trying to think of any other drum sounds.
Uche had a question actually. How would you make an 808 or how do you make your 808s?
808s are pretty simple. It's a similar thing to this. Let's make one. And here I can use phase plant for the transient. Doesn't matter as much. So yeah, I'll make my transient with just an envelope. And then forgot I'm just doing the transient right now. So and then add this pitch envelope. something like that. And you'll see why it's cool to separate layers, even when you're doing a simple 808. Because now I can take the tail and like distort it if I want, or do some other crazy things to it. So let's take this. Anyway, it's pretty long usually. That. And yeah, now I can do some crazy things to the tail and my transient will be left alone, so it won't sound completely whack. Let's distort it. Maybe add some frequency shifting before that. Maybe some erosion, which adds a little bit of white noise to it. And yeah, like that. Then we can group that, high pass it, have the sub layer come through, and then you can do cool things to the tail. Yeah. And yeah, and it sounds all right because you're not distorting the transient as well. Yeah. Anyway.
Wow, that was really cool. Wow. I definitely heard that one. Pat, did you get the link? Oh my God, wait, hold. Yeah, I think if, oh man, I feel like I messaged most people the link. But yeah, that was really amazing. Does anybody have any questions at all about wait, Matt, can you play the just the 808 you made real quick again so Pat can hear it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Without the distortion stuff on it, it's just nice, clean 808.
Nice. Cool, that was amazing. Does anybody have? Oh, okay, go Sam.
Yeah. Hey Matt, how you doing?
Hey.
I noticed you were using phase plant a lot during the editing process for the drums. I was wondering if you had any alternatives for people that might not have that particular plugin.
Yeah. Pretty much any synth that has white noise capabilities, you can use. Yeah, anything that has the ability to have like a pitch envelope. So most synths are like that. I mean, let's just use Operator, which comes with Ableton, as an example. Let's make a transient. So there's this pitch envelope thing here. You can use that to make a little pop in your sound, like that. Make another little snare here. Yeah, some white noise. So there it's already sounding kind of like a basic snare. And yeah, it's really the same principle.
Cool.
Overtones, maybe. Yeah, and you can also play around with like the delay of each layer, which affects the sound. Maybe that's some white noise. So yeah, you can really use any synth to do this. Yeah.
Cool. I had a question actually. So, in terms of when you started out, like being a producer, was Ableton like the first program, or how did you get to like Ableton? Or I don't know. Like I know some producers start with different like hardware, and then maybe they start with like I don't know. They go from FL Studio to Ableton to wherever. But just curious.
I started with FL. Actually, I started with an old version of Logic that was for PC. And then I moved to FL. I think it was FL4 at the time. So yeah, and then I moved to Ableton in 2008.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I've been using that ever since.
in a good amount of time. Cool. Yeah, I'm always curious to know everyone to because like there's always new programs coming out, you know, or like new features and new things. So people like hop around back and forth between programs and stuff.
Yeah, I like Ableton because it's super quick. And there's also this free tool that my friend made that gives you a pop-up menu where you can put anything in it. It's called
Wow.
Instant Suite. If you have Ableton, it's free, so you might as well get it. Yeah, you can have this cool pop-up menu that lets you organize all your plugins and samples if you want. Anything that's searchable,
Wow.
Control F, you can put in there. So
Cool. Good to know. Another question actually too, and feel free to anybody that's tuned in right now has any questions. Oh, we have another question. Would you say GarageBand is a good DAW to use?
I mean, any DAW is a good DAW to use. It depends on how you use it. You can do a lot with GarageBand. It has its limitations, but limitations aren't necessarily a bad thing in music. It's just, you know, how you go about using the program within those limitations.
Yeah, for sure. We use with Building Beats. We teach on Soundtrap, which is a website. It's like an online DAW, soundtrap.com. I'll put it in the chat. And it's a cloud-based DAW, so you can basically make your beats online and then use any machine you want on and wherever. It's pretty cool. I had another question actually though. In terms of like you said, you created something in Max. Have you created other things like in the like I would say in helping you produce, like whether it's like a program or something or your own?
Yeah,
tools?
I have tools for like sound design mainly. Mainly just to like mess with MIDI information. So like getting like random MIDI notes to spit out of my computer so I don't have to like hit random notes of the keyboard to test out sounds.
Cool.
That I do a lot of. And then like I can do a whole sound design session where I'm not touching it, where there's Max for Live random modulators modulating different parameters and spitting out random MIDI notes, and I can just like let let my computer do its thing, and you know.
Cool. Yeah, I was curious. I know people that also use Mac, so I was wondering what else might you be making. Bianca had a question. Do you have any YouTube recommendations, like any YouTube channels you watch maybe?
Yeah, Andrew Huang is a good one. Noisia, who are one of my favorite artists, have a few tutorials online, which I think are like, it's quality over quantity for sure, because they don't do a lot of them, but they're really, really good in explaining, like, you know, concepts like this.
For sure.
They're really good ones to check out. Who else? Produce Like a Pro is really good for like learning like old techniques that you know, out of the box producers used to use all the time, which you can then apply to techniques in the box. Like there was one episode where they're talking about how they used different amps to get a big guitar sound, but they would like split each mic that was on the amp into different frequency bands, so it was sort of like multi-band.
Cool.
But yeah, you can then apply that technique to like making a bass sound, or making you know, adding different
Yeah, for sure. Does anybody have any other questions? I know you have a new album coming out in October. Those of you that joined, can you tell us a little bit about it? I know it's called Illusion of Depth.
Yeah, it's my third album. I've put 2 others out. Yeah, this is the first one I made in 4 years, so it took a while to make. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just
Cool.
it's very dance floor orientated.
All right, dope. Definitely, we'll include that in the link. And then I think before we started today, you said you've been working on some Minecraft like events. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so in the absence of club shows, I mean, I've been playing Minecraft for like 6 years, and it sort of made sense to start doing Minecraft shows. I don't know if any of you guys are into Minecraft, but yeah, we do events monthly in Minecraft, and yeah, we've had some good feedback from them. And if anybody watching wants to join, the IP is join.madzoo.events. I'll put a link in the chat, actually.
Is it that? Did I put it up there?
Where's the chat? I don't know if I can see the chat.
I think I put it in the chat.
But yeah, if anyone wants to go to one of our parties, that's the IP.
Cool.
Ticketed though, but yeah, right now anyone can join and wander around our ticket shop and stuff.
Cool. Pat had a question. Were the perks and drums in Hello NSA version 3 mostly samples, or were some synthesized? The whole percussion section is super fun.
Thanks. I think it was a mixture, if I remember correctly. At that point, I was only just starting to make my own drums, so I was still using other people's samples a lot. So yeah, it was probably a mixture of the two, especially for the loops and stuff.
Cool. How often do you use samples? I mean, like, I know some producers are always, I like to ask that question because some producers are like, no. Other times they're afraid of, like, you know, they can't release a song or getting the sample cleared or something. Like, how often, what's your take on using samples?
I use samples less nowadays, but yeah, I'm definitely a huge proponent of sampling. It's an art form that needs to be kept alive. It's just a lot more expensive to do nowadays.
Yeah, cool, for sure.
Yeah.
I always say, like, usually just keep using samples, because we've had other Q&As where artists were like, the managers like, don't use samples. So,
well,
I'll never forget that one, but yeah.
But there's a lot you can do to manipulate a sample to make it completely unrecognizable. So that's where the art,
Definitely.
for sure. Like, chopping up samples and, you know, using unexpected sound sources is always fun.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely am a proponent. I believe that. Anybody have any final questions? I know your website, Matt, is MattZo, I think, or
MattZoMusic.com.
Cool. Oh yeah, there it is. I'll put it in the chat. I think there was one question. Oh, your virtual rave-a-thon on the Insomniac channel on YouTube. Nice, I liked it. Cool. Dope. Yeah, any other questions, anybody? Thank you again to everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing your time and knowledge with us. Thank you to Android for sharing your lyrics on your song. Cool. Yeah, Building Beats, definitely check it out, buildingbeats.org, mattzomusic.com. We'll post this online later once it's all done. Oh, Pat had a question, one last question. How did you process the vocal chops in real life? The articulation is always changing, which I love.
Well, yeah, that was like done on multiple channels, if I remember correctly, where it was like one channel would handle like the vocal chop on every beat, and then I would have other channels with different processing on them to like fill in the other parts. And yeah, just like I would have, this is a technique I learned from an old trance producer, Andy Moore. He would have just like a bunch of different channels with a bunch of random processing, and then just drag samples around to different channels to sort of make a sort of weird matrix of
cool
samples, different channels.
Nice. That's I can totally see that. Cool. Anybody have any other final questions? I know it's like about 6 o'clock. It's our time's over. Yeah, mattzo.com, at mattzo on Instagram, at Building Beats. Yeah, thank you again, Matt. Thank you, everybody else, everyone. We'll see you next time on the internet. So yeah, I'll try and check out the Minecraft one too. So for sure.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone. I'll see you. Bye. Thank you, Matt.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.